the Podium, an Olympics podcast, the number one Olympics podcast in the world as we continue on our Olympic opening ceremony review series. And we're doing the one that we chose to do just like the last one because it's the last one we're going to do before the next Olympics. It's Turin 2006. The next Olympics is an Italian Olympics in a year ending with 6. So why not bookend it with the last one that happened that way? And an opening ceremony that I don't remember it being this way, but hey, we're going to talk about it. Speaking of talking about it, I've got two gentlemen to help talk to me about it, including a man who was meant to wear a hat tonight and he didn't. So he sucks at life. Colin Hilding. Colin, welcome back.
This is an exciting one because, I mean, I love these Olympics. This is one of the opening ceremonies I had flashes of memories of rockets on the back of speed skaters. I had flashes of this and that. And then the big things, which you think you'd remember, no recollection of whatsoever. The other thing that I'm going to find interesting with this is I feel like this is good going back to back when we go Atlanta to Sydney to this, because there's some things where I'm like, I'm going to be more positive on this than the previous two because I feel like they improved on some of those things. And then there's some areas where I'm like, I'm going to be less positive because they definitely dropped the ball on some things.
Yeah. I'll touch that in a moment. I also want to welcome back though, Mr. Jared Lubick. I was going to say something in between there, but I don't know why.
Struggled to remember his name.
Mr. Jared Lubick. What's that guy's name? He pops up every now and then. Jared, welcome back.
Fair. Thanks. It's good to be back. I don't even know this opening ceremony. I don't know. I don't know if I should have watched it more in advance and had more time to digest it, but I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be swayed by other people's opinions on this because that's, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary of this opening ceremony. Because it's interesting what you say, Colin, because I thought I remembered this more than I did. But a lot of this felt very new. I vividly remember getting up very early to watch this and being very, very excited because this was, I think, peak Olympics for Ben. I was 19, coming off the back of Athens, Salt Lake, and Sydney when I was just absolutely obsessed. I hadn't gotten into stupid things like relationships or grown up and done anything adult at this point. I was still a late teenager doing, formative years of growing up, which I hopefully will do one day. So I remember, being very excited about it. But I just, watching this, I'm like, I don't remember that. And some of these things to me feel more dated than Atlanta. And yet coming off the back of Sydney, which was 6 years prior to this, I feel that Sydney was a lot more modern and advanced than this, which is very strange because I always had a lot more positive things about that. But having said that, there are some incredible highs of this opening ceremony, which I absolutely love. And then there's just some stuff where I'm like, I'm going to be sitting in a stadium in Italy in a few months. And is this what I'm going to see live in person? I don't know. But yeah, very, very intrigued to hear people's thoughts. So, I mean, Jared, just touching on your history, I know we go over this all the time, but did you watch this live? Do you remember watching this at all back in 2006?
I did not. I think the first winter's opening ceremony I watched was Sochi. So this was completely fresh and brand new.
Completely fresh and brand new. Colin, I know you are always going on about Turin being your favourite Winter Olympics. I'm assuming then this would have been at a decent time for you, would it not have been? Because Europe's generally a healthy-ish time for Canadians.
Sort of, but I mean, context for these Olympics, I had just started working a job where I was working nights. So I was basically getting off work at 11:30 p.m., getting home around midnight, staying up till 5 a.m, watching whatever I recorded throughout the day. So I would not have been able to watch this live. But I mean, to me, what I always remembered about these Olympics, aside from just like, some of the great events and the Canadian successes, was just the crowd. Because I feel like Paris, the benchmark was set by Turin until we got to Paris for what the home crowd would do. And the one thing that I think I did find in these opening ceremonies, like you have great crowd energy the entire time. It doesn't matter who's coming out. It was a hot crowd. They were excited. And I think that does make up for a little bit. But these Olympics were an interesting one for me because I don't think there was much I was really able to watch live.
These Olympics always are the ones for me, not outside of the obviously Dale Beck-Smith Olympics, but these were always the Olympics to me, the first ones I ever remember going like, where the fuck is that? Because, I'd never heard of Turin as a kid. And I mean, okay, you'd argue Nagano, Lillehammer, they're not cities that you hear of, but you're a kid, you just think that that's just, you don't realize, Olympic cities are generally big cities where you've heard of them before. I was at an age where all of a sudden I remember when Turin got the Olympics and I'm like, where, what? And then it always confuses me too because it's Turin or Torino. There's a U or there's an O. Italian and English, different languages really. So it was always that one there with it. But this is weirdly the one that I first remember as the first Olympics I ever really tracked on the internet, because I think this was around about not long after I got the internet at home. Because I think maybe I got dial-up around Athens, but I wasn't going to like Athens.com or whatever it would have been back in the day. This was the first one I remember like going for news and being a countdown clock and weird little things like that. So that was kind of, the digital age for me when it came to these Olympics and everything along those lines. But I do remember waking up. This would have been, Athens you would have woken up early for too, Ben. What am I saying? But I think this was the first one I remember just being maybe more excited because it was sort of like a winter one, and I'd always have this weird thing for winter games and all those kind of things as well with it. So had you, Colin, you ever watched any of this since you first watched it all the way back in the day, or not one of the ones you'd put on the VHS over the years?
Yeah, and I wasn't recording like the entire opening ceremonies at this point. Like basically what I would do is I'd get home from work, I'd have, a full 8 to 10 hour VHS tape that I had pre-recorded while I was gone, and I'd skim through that and I'd maybe pick the highlights. So I remember going through some of the highlights of this probably before Sochi. So it's been over a decade before I've even seen things like the rocket sled, the rocket skaters and stuff like that. But I've never gone back and completely revisited it since it originally aired.
The one that always pops up for me, not just because I'm a Formula One fan, but I swear they have this like co-sharing thing between F1 and the Olympics. That every now and then they will always share the F1 car doing the donuts. That's always that. And the Pavarotti. They're kind of the two. Jared, had you seen highlights? Were you familiar with any of this that you had seen?
I think the only thing I'd caught before highlight-wise was Pavarotti, but outside of that, nothing. Like everything was completely new. And fair, because the highlights I feel are few and far between.
We'll get to that. It's also interesting. I have the original recording I did of Channel 7 back in the day, and I kind of skimmed through a little bit of it. Joanna Griggs is hosting it and kind of all that sort of stuff. But I watched the OBS version. I watched the YouTube one without commentary. So this is the first one in a while that I've watched without a commentary, which I feel this is one that needed commentary. I don't know about you. I think we said that a bit about Atlanta, but I felt after a while with Atlanta, you kind of got the gist. But a lot of this, I'm going, Italians and BDSM and fucking giant cows on wood. I don't know if we need commentary for these ones. Maybe that's the thing. Once we do the opening and closing, we just go over the OBS and we just do our commentaries like we used to do back in the day. We're really stretching the content there if we do that. But anyway, had you heard of Torino, Jared? Is this a city you were familiar with before these Olympics?
No, not before the Olympics. I feel like Turin to me is just like the Eurovision, it's in the running. We could be in Turin all the time, and they never end up there. But that's when I think of Turin, that's what I think of. Yeah.
Colin, have you heard of this city before?
No, and I had that same confusion about, is it Turin? Is it Torino? Since then, I don't think I've ever heard of Turin or Torino outside the Olympics. If you ever hear that, you're only associated with the Olympics.
And this is not our way of disrespecting it. I'm sure a lot of people who aren't familiar with Australia have never heard of Brisbane. That's fine. A lot of people in Australia probably haven't even heard of Brisbane, but I'm looking here. Turin's actually a pretty big city. So it's a population of 850,000 people. So this city has more people than the whole state of Tasmania. So, that's about Winnipeg's population, isn't it, Colin? About 850,000 or so?
Yeah, I think we're just slightly less than that. So hey, we have somewhere we can look towards to possibly get an Olympics. If Turin could do it, Winnipeg could do it.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent size of a city. So, again, not shitting all over it, but it's a city that maybe non-Italians, non-Europeans aren't familiar with. It looks like a beautiful city, though. So that's all we can say with it. I don't think I've got anything else to add on Turin. I think we just get into it. Jared, let's start with you. Where do you want to start? What do you want to get over and done with straight away? Cultural, parade, cauldron, or speeches/other?
Oh, let's really flip things up and start with the cauldron.
Oh, all right. Wow. Okay. I don't think this will take long to
be fair. These notes here.
I like this, Jared. Well done. This one, one thing I'll say about this entire opening ceremony, we've just come off Sydney, which is 4.5 hours long. This is 2.5 hours long. It feels 2.5. It feels rushed in some of these things. I don't know. I generally think Italians are a little bit more laid back and chilled and we'll do whatever we want to. apparently it's Thomas Bach. But like this just felt like so done with and quickly and everything along those lines. So basically we get Alberto Tomba, the great skier, coming in to the stadium. And I just want to say, carrying a giant blunt. Do these just not look like something that dorm rooms are having? Like these, we haven't ranked the torches, have we? Yet. That's maybe something we need to do, but I'm not sure about the Turin torch. Colin, you don't know anything about drugs. Jared, I don't really know you well enough to know about that, but I mean, I'm sure you might have had a couple of these in your youth. Like, this is just a giant joint or a blunt, isn't it?
I just feel like this torch is like designed to burn people, right? like everyone's running with it, and the flame is not above the torch. It's like going down the back of the torch, and the hands are like getting so close. I'm like, this is just like really, one, like the blunt, but then two, just like, where's like the danger to this torch? I just don't get the design at all.
You can't kill Alberto Tomba. That's like killing John Farnham or, Bryan Adams. Like, you can't do that. That's national shame. But Alberto Tomba comes in. You talk about the crowd. Like, I don't remember a lot of the crowd that you talk about, Colin, when it comes to that. I'm not doubting you. Obviously, that's a memory you have. But again, something feels a bit flat about the crowd in this stadium to me. Maybe I'm just coming off the back of Sydney and my rose-tinted glasses are still on. But yeah, the Italians are like, hey, Alberto Tomba. And then they hand it off to these four gentlemen who are the 1994 men's Italian cross-country skiing relay team. Marco Albarello, Giorgio Vanzetta, Murillo De Zolt, and Silvio Forna. They're all happy and they've got their giant blunt. They probably had a few of them back in the day in the 90s. Then
those cross-country skiers.
They're renowned for their giant blunts. Then they give it to the great Piero Gross, who is a World Cup alpine skier and who won a gold medal in slalom at the 1976 Olympics in Innsbruck. There's your fun fact. He got a big cheer. Everyone loved Piero Gross going down there. Now, actually, then hands it to a skier who I actually know who this is, Deborah Campioni. She, I think, got silver ahead of Zali Stegel in 1998 or gold. She got one of the medals ahead of Zali Stegel in 1998. I remember her name. And then she won 3 gold medals in total, 92, 94, and 1998. So legendary Italian skier. And then she hands it off to Stefania Belmondo, a 2-time Olympic champion, 4-time world champion in cross-country. The Italians love their cross-country skiers. So there she goes. And then this is where I'm like conflicted with this cauldron because this giant it's a sprinkler. It's one of those like, when you go to like an agriculture, you're driving past a big field of crops and there's like one of those giant big things that spray the crops. It's one of them, right? So she's all like, woo! And then she's kind of got this like little look on her face and she's like, ooh, am I doing this correctly? Like she always looks scared. And then she puts the blunt on the sprinkler. There's words I never thought I'd say. And then sparks. Like it's spectacular. Don't get me wrong. Like sparks go everywhere. Pew, 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 pew. Everywhere. And then up to these giant pipes that form like spider penises. Not quite like Pyeongchang spider penises, but like half the effort. And then woof, flame, and then fireworks. Like it, don't get me wrong, spectacular. But I read that this is the only time, or the first time, that the flame itself at a Winter Olympics has not been lit directly by because this is all connected through sparks and fireworks and computers, basically. They needed the computers back in Sydney 2000 to make this work when Kathy was doing it. But then boof, flame, yay, fireworks, woo! It's spectacular, don't get me wrong. It looks amazing, but what loses it for me is that it's cheapens out, it's quick, it's over with, and like, you know me, I like stairs, I like a big cauldron, like a woof, like fire. They've got a blunt that's killing Italian Olympic legends, yet they cheapen out by lighting a sprinkler with sparks. Like, I feel that's just like half-assed. So, like, it gets points for being spectacular and visually memorable. I always remember Turin having really good fireworks, but there's just something that loses it for me. I don't know. I'm really hopeful Milan doesn't cheapen out in this way. Let's just say that. Colin, I'm going to go to you first.
I think there's some things we're going to disagree on here. I will agree, though, that of all the sections of this ceremony, this is where the crowd is the most dead. And it's where they should be the most excited. And I think the rushness you talk about is the issue of that. This is one of those areas where it's the complete opposite of what we had in Atlanta and Sydney. I think the detraction I had for the cauldrons for both Atlanta and Sydney is like, wow, it took forever. Like you thought Muhammad Ali took long. Wait till you get to Sydney.
He's still
and
going.
here it's like they watched those two, even though we had other ones in between, they watched those two specific opening ceremonies, said, all right, they did it in about 6 hours for the cauldron alone. We're going to do this in about 6 minutes for everything. We don't have anybody pushing the wheelchair and taking the breathers like we had in Sydney. You know, it's all too quick. And I don't think the crowd could process everything that was going on. I don't think they could process the people who are coming out. That's the one issue. What I do like about this is I like how it's just bang and it's over and done with the actual lighting of the cauldron. But also let's add on there, this set that we have for the entire opening ceremonies, the stage combination of where the athletes come out, we don't get to see this in its entirety until we see both the actual Italian team come out, where we finally get to see different sections of this as we walk through it. And then the other part is when we get to follow whatever her last name is, the one who actually lights the cauldron here, we finally get to see this big tour of the set. Slow her down a little bit though, because I want to see a little bit more of that. But what did really win me over was how quick this cauldron lighting was. I also would have liked to have had some type of flame, you know, involved in this, not just fireworks, but it catches you off guard when it just comes out of nowhere and you're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And in a weird way, I kind of like that I get that momentary moment of like excitement, like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I thought I was about to be let down. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get these big fireworks. But yeah, there's major issues with how quickly this is all over and done with. And kind of going to what Jared's point about, he said that he wished he'd watched this a little bit earlier and had some time to kind of sit on it a bit. I mean, I watched this like 48 hours ago and I've had time to sit on it. And my opinion's gone down a little bit since then, just because I don't feel like I'm going to remember this unless somebody jogs my memory. How was the lighting of the cauldron in Turin? And somebody says there was fireworks. I'm like, oh, now I remember. I don't think it will instantly come back to me. And I think that's the issue with it being just so quick, even though that being quick with the light of the cauldron is what makes it spectacular.
I agree with you. The staging is pretty spectacular. I think the stadium and the way they lay it out. And I think what they do very well in this opening ceremony is the way they transition into the separate moments without giving anything away. Like, we didn't really comment in Sydney, like they were able to hide the cauldron area pretty well. But I think like for this, for example, how you can go from having, you know, Olympic rings, dove, ski people, cows on flatbeds, a giant curtain with Pavarotti and F1 cars doing donuts. Like you never see, like they transition that pretty quickly. The stage production of this is pretty well spot on. But yeah, other than that, like it's kind of like gone, you know, a little bit too like, you know, this, if they're all,
can you miss it?
If they're all stoned on giant joints, you know, it should be going like a lot slower if you ask me. But also, one thing I'll say, like, the last 3 that we've done of these, I've given 5 out of 5 for cauldron lightings. We've gone from, you know, a hot air balloon in Paris, which I think was absolutely epic, to one of the most emotional, memorable ones of all time of Muhammad Ali, to Cathy in Sydney, you know, 3 of the most iconic cauldron lightings that we've ever had, to this one that I agree with you. I mean, I just remember the sparks. All I remember are sparks. When I saw this, I'm like, okay. And again, the cauldron itself, like it's weird pipes. It's like somebody's gotten 4 prongs off the bottom of a chair and just slightly if you got Cherry and his legs that were broken after you threw him, this is what the cauldron is. This is a Cherry cauldron. It's just his legs broken and bent in different angles. Sorry, Cherry. Buy me out there on the shelf somewhere. Jared.
I agree. I feel like it feels like cheating is what it feels like to me. I'm like, I'm fully with you. Where's the actual flame to cauldron? I don't know. I just like the gun. Where's the gunpowder trail? There just was ways to go about this where I think certain bits worked and should have been kept. Like I love like the fireworks at the same time. I think great, but I just needed like a real flame to cauldron moment, which we didn't get. And I feel like too, you have Pavarotti after this. Why is he not singing like throughout this torch relay? And then the climax of like this like amazing song is like the lighting moment of like, you know, it was just better ways to do it. And I feel like they missed out. And it feels weird having something after like the cauldron moment, like should be like the peak of the ceremony. And then I feel like we go from that to something that actually like outclipses it, which is weird to me.
Well, I just want to add on that. Like, I agree. But I think that like Paris almost took what they did and improved, because with the way they worked on Celine doing after, but like in a way that's still rising up the hot air balloon in Paris, isn't it? So in a way you could almost argue the way they transition to it. But you're right, because like after they do this cauldron, there's almost just this lull before they get to Pavarotti, whereas at least with Celine they transitioned it better. So sorry to interrupt, but yeah, no, I agree with that.
I just kind of want to add too. I mean, I agree with that because they incorporate the cauldron into the Pavarotti performance. They do this really cool like
they light Pavarotti on fire.
But they got this opera stage setup and the cauldron's above that. Unfortunately, though, they have like a artificial chandelier to make this look like an opera house that dangles directly below the cauldron and basically looks like the testes hanging from the penis of the cauldron. But
Colin
if they're going to incorporate the cauldron so prominently into the Pavarotti performance, just let it be one seamless thing. And I think you kind of mentioned, Ben, like everything else in these opening ceremonies, the transitions are incredible. Like everything flows so seamlessly until you get to this moment from cauldron to Pavarotti, because you needed that to be one single moment.
Jared, I didn't know if you had anything to add. I feel we both interrupted you there.
That's it. It's an ugly cauldron.
It is an ugly cauldron, isn't it? Like it just doesn't feel like something's off about it to me. So yeah, I'm glad to let you both know that my 5 out of 5 streak is gone. This isn't getting a 5, not even. I think the theme for me for this opening ceremony, it's just there. It's not terrible, but it's not great. It's just there. So I'm giving it a 2.5 because like I enjoy that the sparkle, everything. I'm with you, Jared. It's cheating. I mean the great choice of athletes. I don't know if we ever really rank it on that. I think it's always good to honor these sort of people and do that, and they look like they're enjoying themselves. The blunts, sure. I mean, in all fairness, I always call this the golden era of opening ceremonies, but the mid-2000s were obviously the golden era of joints, because if you remember Athens, that was a giant joint that they lit up in Athens as well. So, 2.5 for me. It's so middle of the road, just bleh, Jared?
I gave it a 2.
2? All right. Colin?
I'm going to be a little bit more positive because it was cool when I saw it, but it's still going to be one of my lowest grades for a cauldron. I'm going with a 3.
3. So, Jared, your 2, that equals your Rio 1 and your Calgary and your Innsbruck. So, there's your lowest equal. And Colin, a 3 is just below Paris for you, just below Calgary, just above Munich, sort of your middle of the road one there for you. Okay, cool. Colin, hit us up with the next one. Where are we going next?
Let's go with the speeches. Let's go completely backwards on this episode.
I'm enjoying it. And I think maybe we get to who I think the star of this whole opening ceremony is. We'll get to him in a moment. So the anthem, the Italian national anthem, is one of the best national anthems on the planet. I think.
It's my very favorite.
I was thinking, I couldn't remember if it was or Brazil. I always couldn't remember if it was Brazil or Italy. I mean, to me, the top 3 national anthems on the planet, admittedly, I haven't heard all of them, but of the ones that I know, my favorites are USA, Italian, and Brazil. They're my 3 favorites.
Wow, no San Marino.
No San Marino. Sing us the San Marino one, Jared. Go on.
I couldn't. I haven't been watching enough trap shooting lately.
But like the Italian one, like this is one of my absolute like things I'm looking forward to the most of the Olympics next year, is sitting in that stadium for the opening ceremony and hearing the Italian national anthem live. Because as a Ferrari fan, this just brings back memories of Michael Schumacher hearing the Italian national anthem. Just incredible, but not bad. Little Italian Nicky Webster gets some cranking. And the thing that I like about the way this gets into the national anthem, this sparkly woman comes out with the flag. Like, I've never seen this before at an opening. Usually the flag's just there. But like here's, Italian Giselle. It's 10 years before Giselle, let's be honest. And she's holding the flag all nice like. Milan's a fashion capital of the world. This is going to be even better in a few months' time. But then, so good. And the Italian army guys, the little feathery hat things going up there. Oh, they're really good. But let's be honest, the star of this show, Italian President Carlo Azeglio Ciampa, who, okay, I don't know if you guys are taking notes. So he rocks up. Here he's with Jacques Rogge, who, let's be honest, we'll talk about him separately. Rocks up, there he is. He's looking a bit confused, like, oh, what am I doing here? They cut to him next minute. He's wiping his mouth. I don't know if he's had a drink or something.
He's drooling.
He's, whatever. Cut to him next. He's put a little hat on. There he is. He's got his little spy hat on. cut to next. He's got gloves on this time. Like he's cut him with no hat. He's got a jacket. Like it's like interchangeable Barbie. Like, you know, obviously the Italians love him because when he opens the games up, everyone cheers. This isn't freaking William Dean. He just, you know, he's not fucking everything up. He's pausing for dramatic effect. He's like, hey, open the games. Mario. And everyone's like, hey, Italy. Woo, 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 woo. But I just love the way they just keep cutting back to this guy. And he's always doing something different. And then his wife, who's like, when we were talking, I think it was at St. Louis, and we were talking about your Prime Minister, Colin, back in 1900, Sir Wilfrid Laurier. And I think I mentioned his wife. There's a photo of him and his wife that look ridiculous. Like, you know, she looks like she should be like the Monopoly man's wife. Here she is, like this little, like, the hat and the glasses, and like, she almost looks like a mafia mob boss wife. She's like, hey, Italy, Mario, hey. You know, like, it just, I love this guy. Rest in peace. He's dead now. When did he die? 2016. So he lived another 10 years, but he was only president until the end of this year. Yeah, so he was Prime Minister from 1993 to 1994, and then he was president from 1999 to 2006. He was only president for another 3 months after this, so he was, you know...
Droolgate is what took him down. It's just unacceptable.
I love here when it's like you've got... Because if you ever go to Wikipedia and they have like the sort of the tables on the side listing their terms in office and things like that. So, you know, President of Italy, Prime Minister of Italy, Minister of Treasury, Budget and Economic Programming. I love here, Minister of the Interior, Prime Minister himself. So he basically appointed himself the Minister of Interior, as well as the Minister of Tourism and Entertainment. Oh, very, you know, he's entertaining guy. But I love this guy. He just, you know, every single time you see him, the wipe in his mouth, hat. Jacques Rogge. Look, I always had fond memories of Jacques because he was always so open. I felt he was like the first real, like, Thomas Bach style open with the, like, no offense to His Excellency Juan Antonio, who's there in the crowd. He waves. He's looking fashionable there. But like, I always remember like Jacques Rogge doing like the ice stream. Like he seemed very open and like happy to talk with people and things like that. And he's a bit weirdy because he comes out first. He's a bit bored looking, Jacques. He's a bit little like, oh God, another Olympics. Here we go. But then like when he's waiting to do his speech behind the, I don't know, the glasses organizing committee guy, he's fucking the most popular guy in this. He's waving at everyone. He's like, hey, there you are. Oh, Jenny, look at you. Oh, Mum, how you doing? Like, he's just waving at everybody. Jacques, you're that popular. Like, this should be Thomas Bach levels of, like, waving at people and everything along those lines. So I love how he was, like, going on that way. The president of the organizing committee doing the opening, he's all right. You know, he's not the guy from Atlanta. He's not, what's his face, from Sydney?
Guy from Sydney, yeah.
He transitions in between Italian and English pretty well. So he transitions. It's very ahead of his time. So, you know, not too bad. I like the lectern. That's always a positive for me. It's a nice
Ben's dream to rank the lecterns. One of these days it'll happen.
It's a nice looking lectern. The one thing I noticed about Jacques Rogge's speech, he's just begging everyone, please, athletes, don't cheat. Please, athletes. Compete well.
No doping.
Please, no
Ignore
drugs.
the torch. Stay away from drugs.
Please, just, you know, do all these things that I'm wanting to do. Now, then we get to the Olympic flag. Now, I just want to sit here and I want to read through the iconic people that they've chosen to carry the Olympic flag. All very worthy people, all right? So we have Nobel laureate and founder of the Kenyan Green Belt Movement, Wangari Maathai. Legend. I love them to bits. Italian 7-time Nordic skiing gold medalist Manuela Di Centa. I mean, sells itself. Come on. Gold medalist from Mozambique, Maria de Lourdes Mutala. Fantastic. Member of the IOC from Morocco, the first Muslim woman to win an Olympic gold medal, Naway El Mutawakel. Yep. We've got a Cambodian human rights activist, Somali Mam. Iconic. Great Italian-born actress Sophia Loren. I mean, iconic Italian. You think about Italian actresses. She's one up there. Chilean novelist Isabel Allende. Sure, interesting choice. And iconic person Susan Sarandon. Now, what the fuck is Janet from the Rocky Horror Picture Show doing out there? I don't know. Like, the Italians are like, they're going like, oh, shit, we got all these good people. They're German now, apparently. Mario, yeah, I'm Italian. Luigi, who else can we do to carry the flag? I watched Rocky Horror Picture Show last night. What about the woman from Susan Sarandon? They've listed here her as American actress and activist. Now, I'm not dissing Susan Sarandon. I like Susan Sarandon. She's a great actress. Seems like a nice lady. But, like, this is the most lucky dip person ever to carry the Olympic flag. Like, it's just like, Susan Sarandon, sure, hey, why not? Olympic hymn. This is maybe the worst Olympic hymn I've heard. This is pathetic. It's just an instrumental. Like, we've got fucking Pavarotti singing Italy, home of opera, and you've just got, like, a cheap band player. Come on. Like, that's not very good in my eyes. I think that's it. I'm not lumping Imagine in as a part of the standards. We'll get to that in the fucking other bit. But, yeah, I don't know if I've missed anything there. But, again, theme of this opening ceremony, it's so-so. Jared?
I think what ruins like this entire section for me and is reflected in my score, and I mean, they couldn't help it, and it's not against any of the people who actually spoke, but I'm putting in the speeches section, the athletes. I struggled to watch this, and I wanted to punch multiple people while watching it because I hate
the athletes.
Yes, they're these like group of like fame whores who are there like getting their face on camera every 2 seconds, and they're like switching up the camera angles, try and change it, and each new angle they go to, then someone else finds their like ugly mug on the screen. I'm like, can you just? It was making me so mad, and I was like, none of this business ever of having like anywhere near like the athletes ever again. I'm like back row of the stadium instead, nowhere near like where the athletes are. It really it bugged me, and I couldn't focus on any of the speeches. So that's what I'm going to be scoring this off.
So not even Susan Sarandon is adding to your points here. Wow. Do you like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Jared? Because I know somebody on this podcast doesn't. So.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, Jared, come on. I will note, like, when they're doing the speeches, there was one athlete from Liechtenstein. We love Liechtenstein. But they had the Liechtensteinian flag. That's the most prominent I've ever seen a Liechtenstein flag ever in life. Right behind Jack Rock. He's waving at people. So there's the Liechtenstein people there, like, going off there. I will say, and a lot of my notes come from the crowd, mainly on the parade, but 95% of the people they cut to in the crowd were bored out of their mind. Like, even Laura Bush. Like, she was Chelsea Clinton in it from Atlanta. So, and there's one couple when we get to one country, which I don't even know if they knew where they were.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Colin, anything to add? What about the Italian president? Jared, what about Carlo?
I mean, he was good. He's the only thing that they're getting points for in this section.
He's got a dirty mouth. Poor Carlo. Colin?
So I'm going to be very middle of the road here because this is bad, but some of it is so bad it's good. I'll start with where I'm going to disagree with Jared, but this comes down to being so bad it's good. This setup of having the athletes surrounding them, I loved it. Now, I completely get what Jared's saying. I literally can't focus on what's going on, right? They are so close, and they're so crammed together, and they're all fighting to get in their spots and stuff like that. But it made it entertaining because these speeches are among the worst and most boring speeches we've ever had in opening ceremonies. There's one moment specifically, I don't know what the country the guy was from, but there's a guy who's on his cell phone right behind Jacques while he's making a speech. And he's sitting right next to a couple of Mongolian athletes. And the guy on his cell phone is like stretching over. Do you see me on TV? Do you see me on TV? And then, no joke, you see these Mongolian athletes topple over. One of the guy's hat falls off. And then it cuts away and it cuts back and they just stand up, not even bothered by the fact that this jerk on his cell phone just shoved them over, almost knocked over all the athletes standing around here. Those types of things, it perked me up a little bit. I want to talk about the hymns and everything. I'll slightly disagree with you, Ben, on the Olympic hymn. I don't like that it's just instrumental. I think you could have made this bigger, specifically because most of the instrumental music we hear during this, I think rivals even Paris. I think this is, some of the best instrumental music we have throughout the entertainment portion of this ceremony that we've ever had. But what I did like about this is that they're like, okay, it's the Olympic hymn, but we're still making it Italian. Like, nobody listening at home who doesn't know that this is supposed to be the Olympic hymn is going to realize this is not the Italian national anthem if you don't know what the Italian national anthem is. They made it their own. And yeah, the Italian national anthem is fantastic. And it really was these Turin Olympics that won me over on it. I think I'm going to be very jealous of you. You're going to have to send me videos whenever Italy wins a gold medal, wherever Ariana Fontana's, cleaning up night after night, getting her medals. Because when you would watch those, I would go out of my way to watch every time that they would air the medal presentations, and they would play that anthem because the crowd was just like deafening during those. But I wanted to hear more of that here. I wanted to hear the Italians get so into it here, knowing what they were going to do through the rest of these games.
I always just remember it just, again, like because in Formula One, like the winning driver gets the national anthem and then whatever the country the constructor is. So growing up as a Schumacher fan, I just got used to hearing the German national anthem followed by the Italian national anthem. And then Schumacher famously would like conduct the orchestra as a dun 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 dun, and he would like do
Italy,
this.
not Germany, right?
Yeah. Well, the German one is very stoic, but then dun, 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 and he's like, "Hey, I can be happy now. It's Italy." So yeah. Anyway,
the flag I did appreciate, especially after Sydney had like 100% limp flag, that we did get a little bit of life, but still, why is there such an issue with the wind machines now? Because it's like fluttering in the wind,
because it was embarrassing, and Viagra didn't happen in Sydney, so they just go out of their way to make sure
it was trying. Yeah, the kick was starting to kick in from the Viagra for the flags here, but still, we're not getting like that glorious breeze in the wind here. The randomness of all the women carrying the flag. This was one of my complaints about Paris, and I'll have a similar thing to here. I felt like they're playing too much to international crowds. You get that a lot with it, and don't worry, when we get to the parade, I actually really liked the music selections they had, but you already had that to appease the rest of the world. Why don't you let this be a bunch of Italians? And it was following on the back of Sydney having the torch relay be the first ever all women's torch relay. I think this is supposed to be the first all female Olympic flag, bearers or whatever you would call them. I think that was the big deal they made about this.
Why
Susan Sarandon?
Why Susan
Thelma? How do you have Thelma without Louise or Louise without Thelma?
Gina
I don't know.
Davis, she nearly made the Olympics. Honestly, get Gina Davis, she would be more appropriate. She was this close to making the Sydney Olympics, and she almost was an Olympian.
Gina's sitting at home, completely drunk, just like throwing her glass at the TV, and that should have been me. You picked the wrong Thelma or Louise or whichever.
She's off the back of winning a Golden Globe, I think, around about then for Commander-in-Chief. She's loving life until she sees freaking Susan. Fuck off, Susan! She's throwing a Golden Globe at the TV.
They clearly were going for activism over sport here because Gina's like, I was an athlete, but I play an activist. But Susan's like, I play an activist, I am an activist.
Maybe I don't follow enough Hollywood actors and their activism to notice, but if I'm thinking of famous Hollywood actors who I know as activists, Susan Sarandon doesn't come up the top for me. I didn't know. Is she known for being a big activist?
And where's Tim Robbins? Like, they're still married at this point. I want to see Tim. I'll cut to him in the crowd. He would look excited. Tim Robbins is going to be elated watching this with all these bored people we have to watch throughout the rest of it.
Tim Robbins is never bored.
I did like, though, I don't know if either of you caught it, when they actually hand the flag off, they all have to stand there. They follow their instructions well. Like, nobody is dropping their corner or anything like that, or getting unruly in the middle of this. But there's one woman where they're all standing straight who turns to the left and is standing sideways while the other ones are still standing straight. And I don't know if anybody was telling you, like, you need to turn around. They're trying to give the signals I was picturing. It's like, everybody else is standing straight. Stand straight. What's wrong with you, woman?
So that Vancouver volunteer who's like yelling at the Canadians, like, get off the fucking
exactly. Come on, get back there. Carlo here, President Ciampa. I literally put in my notes, I don't know if this man is human. I think you gave him so much more personality in your impressions of him than he has. Everything he does, there is something unhuman or robotic about him, down to my favorite moment. First of all, yes, wiping his drool is still like left, center, right, clean sweep, put the Kleenex away. But when they have the flashlights at the end and he's got his little flashlight and he's like, yes, left, right, left, right, left, right. Oh, it is the most incredible thing during this entire opening ceremony.
Cut to him when he's got his little hat on, like it's so uninspected. Like I honestly thought when he's wiping his mouth, like, oh, that's so random. But they cut back to him. He's got a little spy hat on. It's like, was it Romania or something from Sydney? They look like spies, or was that Atlanta? He's got a little spy hat on. I'm like, oh, look at him go. He's loving life, and his wife, bless her.
He almost saved this for me, but I might be a little bit more kind on this than I normally would be, because I wasn't bored during it. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, I was not bored.
Got to say, Jacques Rogge missing Dawn Fraser as a date this time around. Shout out to one of our listeners, Connor. He messaged in a few notes about Sydney Olympics, and he said that the reason why Juan Antonio Samaranch was with Dawn Fraser is that Juan Antonio's wife was apparently very ill at the time, and he actually left that opening ceremony, flew back home to Spain, and she passed away during the Olympics. So that's why Dawn was there to support Juan Antonio. So doesn't make you love Dawn Fraser even more? Jesus.
Not just that he moved on really quick.
That he was with a different woman at these ones. If you cut to the crowd, you see him. There's His Excellency sitting with another woman. So it took you 6 years, Juan Antonio. Rest in peace to Mr. Samaranch, who didn't make it through. I am going to go to Jared first for a score on this one.
I gave it a 2.5.
Okay. All right. Colin?
I'm going again with a 3 just because it was not boring. It was bad, but not boring.
Based on what you were saying, Jared, I thought I was going to have the middle one here, but I've got the lowest. I'm giving it a 2. I think the only thing that really saves this to me from being a bit lower is our president friend. And the anthem, the Italian national anthem gives it a little bit of pomp there, but there you go. So Jared, that is not even your lowest. So Rio, you gave a 2. That is still your lowest, and Innsbruck a 2. I gave Rio a 0.5. There you go. Sorry, Thomas Bach at your first Olympics. Colin, you gave Rio a 1. There you go. Some redemption for ones ending in a 6. All right, I'll choose the next one in the spirit of keeping this in a random order. Let's go to the parade. I don't honestly think this one will take that long, to be fair. This one felt very, this is a very quick parade, and there's only 80 nations compared to 3,000 we had in Sydney. But the theme of this opening ceremony, I think everybody's in white. So that was really reflected in the uniform choices. We come off Sydney where I talked about how everyone was so bright and colourful. Everyone just went with white. Even Canada went with this weird white get up in there. What are those hats called with the things on the ears, the Russian almost hats? What are they called?
Ear flat hats. I don't know.
Those things. I start with Canada. I wasn't too keen on Canada's outfit there, Colin. I don't know if you have anything to say on that.
I like the jacket. I wish I'd been able to buy that jacket. That hat is not the hat that I have, though. The hat, when I saw this, I assumed the hat that I have, which was the big one they sold, would have been what they were wearing, because you see a lot of the athletes wearing that. But this opening ceremony hat is hideous.
Your flag bearer was Danielle Goyette, ice hockey player. Is she a prominent ice hockey player? Is she?
I think because women's hockey's become so much bigger in the years since, her name doesn't have the same recognition as a dozen or maybe 24 other players that were probably even playing during these games. But at the time, I guess, she's very prominent. Interesting fact about her, I actually found that she ended up working for player development for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then for whatever the Maple Leafs farm team, one of the Maple Leafs farm teams, she actually was an assistant coach, which made her the first ever female assistant coach in that league.
And they haven't really done anything with that, so I'm not sure that's a good or a bad thing. She won 2 Olympic gold medals and a silver.
It's your fault, Danielle.
She's a trailblazer of women's hockey in your country, but when it comes to selecting players for the Toronto Maple Leafs, maybe not a good mark on a resume there. Australia's flag bearer, I wonder who that would be. Alyssa Camplin, of course, there she is, our current chef de mission, reigning gold medalist at that point. She wins bronze at those Olympics there. I didn't see Dale. Did you see Dale? Jared didn't see Dale?
Did not, no.
No, I just saw
He's
Ian.
not going to come to a ceremony.
I saw Ian Chesterman. There he was. But we're wearing white again. Why do we always wear white jackets at the Olympics in the winter versions, Jared? What is it with us in the white?
I don't know. It's not. I feel like this is not a nice, crisp white either.
Yeah.
It's an off-white, and even the yellow beanies, not gold enough for me. I don't know. There's nothing egregiously wrong with this, but it's really boring.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I wasn't sold. And just on the outfits, were there any? Outside of the German pastel pigtail outfit, San Marino, that was kind of an interesting one. Was there any other standouts, Jared? Colin, I don't really remember any.
I just couldn't understand why Germany came as Ireland. It confused me. I'm why are they green, orange, and white? It just didn't make any sense to me.
They always have. I'd love to get maybe when we get Raphael back on, we need to question him. What is it with the Germans and these weird pastel? This is the only time I ever see Germans wearing anything like this. Their soccer teams aren't this colourful. Their personalities aren't that colourful. No offense, I love the Germans. I really fucking love the Germans. But even they'll admit their personalities aren't that colourful. I don't get it. Why Germany? Why? I really don't have many I did not write many standout countries for their uniforms.
There was nothing that was crazy or wild, but I think there was nothing that was hideous. I think what I liked about this, everybody looked good. The two that I had standouts were actually New Zealand, which I feel like New Zealand often comes up in these as being better dressed than Canada and Australia. But Italy, those like silver jackets they had, I mean, they should have gone gold. You know, it's your Olympics, you know, aim for something better. But those jackets were incredible. I want to buy one of those on eBay.
Those were, I like the chrome sort of jackets. I'll give it that. Korea marched out again together in the ceremony, so that was good to see. I wrote San Marino just because it was she was like a grandma carrying the flag. I don't know what was going on there. Like, I mean, I'm seeing here she was an athlete, Marino Cardelli, an alpine skier. But no, that's wrong because they're linking us to the guy that we talked about from Vancouver with the big fluffy hair. That wasn't who was carrying the flag. Am I looking at a different country? I don't know. Anyway, because remember we talking to Vancouver, the big guy with the big mop of a hair? That wasn't him. They've got this wrong, Wikipedia. I don't know who that grandma was. But anyway, we saw Laura Bush in the crowd. George was too busy. So they sent Laura. Didn't even send the Bush twins. Laura. Like, I don't mean to be mean to Laura Bush, but is she the most forgettable first lady of the last, 20-odd years? I mean,
didn't the Bush twins show up at one of these? I swear that
drunk.
They were
at probably looking at the blunts. They were probably trying to have a smoke of the fucking Deborah Campione's thing. Like, I mean, between Jill Biden and Laura Bush. I feel Jill's a doctor. She's at least. What did Laura ever do?
Jill, I always forget her name, so I'll put her just a step below Laura.
Dr. Jill, America's doctor. You know, at least Melania is like yelling at Christmas trees and yelling at decorations. I don't know anything to say about that. Rank the first ladies coming soon off the podium. What else did I hear? The couple that was bored in the crowd. I feel like this is like Step Brothers. On the count of three, what's your favorite dinosaur? 1, 2, 3. Norway. No? All right. Was it Norway?
I didn't realize we were doing that. Yeah, I put the Norwegian delegates.
We'll edit that out. We'll do that again later.
Yeah. Norwegian delegates is what I had here.
Yeah, so they cut to every time they cut to the people in the crowd who look bored. When they cut to the Norwegian band, it's just like Grandma and Grandpa Norway. They're going like this. Go Norway. We know the medals. I can't do a Norwegian accent. But that was strange. The music though. I mean, I've got the soundtrack. I remember downloading randomly the soundtrack after this. A lot of the music for the Turin Olympics was composed by Eiffel 65 blues singers because they are from the region. So they actually did a soundtrack to them. So I thought this was like Athens when Tiesto did this. So I thought this was like very dance music. I mean, does Italy just get 1970s music in 2006? Like, why are we getting like Disco Inferno and Don't Stop Till You Get Enough and I Will Survive and that song from Kill Bill? And then every now and then they transition into some 80s music as well. Look, great music. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. That's fantastic music. But Jared, when I think the 2006 Winter Olympics, why have we got the 70s disco soundtrack?
I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I feel like it's just not a copyright thing that they're like they ran out of money here and they're like, we can get the rights to these songs for cheaper. I don't know, but I was with you. I'm like, I didn't mind it, but it just was. I was like, this is just an odd choice, which is the whole opening ceremony is just full of odd choices.
Like we have the giant marching band for Sydney. I mean, a lot of the reason why we love Pyeongchang was just that. The soundtrack, you know, not just because it was Gangnam Style half the time. It felt very relevant. I mean, even the marching band, okay, Sydney, it's a bit stereotypical. Let's play the Mexican hat dance or let's play, ABBA in Sweden. At least you're trying. Like, I mean, I didn't realize that I Will Survive was a song to play when Australia walks out into the stadium. And I don't even know who it was who got Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. I think it was before Australia. So I think
that was only the second song that played. So
here comes
it might have been just after.
Armenia. Don't stop till you get enough. Come on. This reminds me of Chris Tucker. Come on. It was, again, entertaining, but odd. It was very strange. I've got nothing. The sign carriers, the ladies carrying the signs. They were awesome because they had like dresses.
Yes, the dress.
With like little ski things and trains on them. And they
it was
lit
like
up.
those little miniature villages that you can make for Christmas displays.
They were good. Props to the dresses on the sign carriers. Yeah, Jared, anything else to add that hasn't already been touched on?
I think just where they were walking out under the Olympic rings to me stood out. Like, I think this is potentially like the most like cinematic, picturesque walk-in of countries that we get and an opening ceremony, and I really appreciated that.
Didn't miss a ramp?
I just think everybody would have had a nice shot. Like, it would have been nice shots for the parents, for everyone back home of all these flag bearers. I just think it was a really well staged, and I loved them setting, as much as it bugged me with the speeches, I love them setting the athletes down in the middle, and I love just like the makeup of this stadium and them like doing a full lap, going kind of underneath the bit and then coming back out the other side. I just thought there were lots of good stuff in terms of like a walk-in and pacing and music. I think this hit like a lot of good things, no matter how kind of odd it was.
The ring. Glad you brought that up. It reminds me a lot of like when you see Beijing, they walk under the rings. But yeah, it worked very well, and no ramp for you this time around, Jared. But yeah, and like even like I know it sort of leads in a bit to the culture, but I love the way they brought the rings in, and then sort of all of a sudden the athletes come out. I like the set. I like them in the middle. I talked about it in Sydney. I do like athletes being involved in the stadium. Colin, before I get your thoughts, before I forget as well. So there were 80 NOCs. This is the first appearance of Albania, Ethiopia, and Madagascar at a Winter Olympics. It was only the only appearance of Serbia and Montenegro, because this came sort of in between that weird period where Yugoslavia turned into Serbia and Montenegro, but then both of them split up essentially for Vancouver. And Algeria returned to the Winter Olympics for the first time in 14 years. Senegal returned for the first time in 12 years, and Luxembourg, North Korea, and Portugal returned after 8 years. So there's your.
Is that just for winter?
For winter, yes.
Oh, okay.
So there you go, to Winter Olympics. Colin, anything to add that we haven't already talked about at all?
Yeah, I questioned Jared's, even though it wasn't like super high, I questioned Jared's ranking of the parade for Atlanta because of the horrible ramp. I definitely questioned
you never
Ben's
let that
ranking.
go, Jared.
Well, I definitely questioned Ben's ranking of perfect 5 for Sydney with their horrible let's enter right on the side and barely give you a glimpse of people. To me, this is, I thought, where everybody might be questioning me, because like this is going to be pretty close to a perfect score for me. This is as good as any parade could possibly be for so many reasons. One, it is short. It is like 40, 45 minutes for everything. The music keeps you, it's busy. It
Typical
keeps you
old
interested.
man loves the 70s disco music.
They started scaling up throughout too. But go ahead, Jared. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say this timing thing. I don't know. Like, I think you have to average that out as like like minutes per country to get a fair score, if that's going to play into it.
And can I just add to sorry to Colin interrupt you again, but like you talk about the crowd flat. I swear the only cheer came from the US. And then I will admit the build up to Italy, they kind of did a dramatic pause before Italy came, which I like that. But I felt everybody was a bit flat. Like the cheering was like off. All of a sudden they'd cheer for like, a random country and then not cheer for like their neighbors in France. I'm like, Italians, very fickle in who they cheer for.
Again, I'll slightly disagree, only because, yes, the crowd could have been a little more engaged, but I think we're just so used to hearing everybody's quiet during, 75% of these countries, and then you have this big pop for some of the other ones. I felt like everything was consistent. Nothing was like overly excited, but like there was very, very polite applause, even for the countries that they probably had never heard of, even for Liechtenstein or San Marino. They're like, yeah, right.
I assume Italians had heard of San Marino. I'd be a bit worried if they didn't. It's inside their country.
But the other thing that really works for me here, we do actually get a bit of a ramp. I mean, they get a little bit of an incline they come down. Small ramp.
What is with the ramp? Like, why is this just a thing?
Well, because people aren't dying on this one.
This was a more wheelchair-friendly ramp, though, and there was no one in one.
And it was the Italian lady in the wheelchair from Atlanta 10 years prior to this.
And with Atlanta and Sydney, I'm like, half the people can't even see what's going on. Everybody can see this. They've literally got the rings right above them. It looks like a grand entrance, and then it allows everybody to not just walk around one straight track, but the fact this kind of zigzags, they have this course they go on, but
ramp track, vroom, 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 ramps everywhere.
then that they actually don't show you, this is where the production values improve this for me too. They don't show you the entirety of this. You get a couple glimpses here and there's like, oh, that's cool. It kind of has like a little course that zigzags around and everything. But it's not until Italy comes out, they're like, now we're finally going to show you everything. And you're like, whoa, this thing goes everywhere. They're going under a bridge and stuff like that. Like,
the Italians are like, hey, Mario, fuck the other countries. Let's shove them in a corner. Now let's do the full rap, Italy, yay!
Yeah, this is what I want for every opening ceremony. I want to see a nice little course they get to run. I want to see turns. It's like a bobsled course, basically, they're taking here. I want to see big rings above everybody. I want it to be short. I want to hear music that doesn't play on repeat. You have 10-song playlist and it's over and done with. And most importantly, I want to see light up miniature Christmas villages on dresses. I want that every time. Plus, even the spelling, it kept me guessing. Yeah, for whatever reason, the spelling of the countries, I'm like seeing Gipone. I'm like, Gabon, like Japan. I'm like, oh, Japan, I get it now. This is the one thing that takes away from this. The one thing that's going to save this from being a perfect score is the side cheering section, whatever you want to call it, the volunteers. They had a choreographed move, but they're doing it from a seated position. It's literally just this, rolling your arms back and forth from a seated position. I'm like, no, I want to see like tagging hands. Be Italian about this. Be anime. Italians are known for their dramatic hand gestures, And then here they're just like, left, right. They basically were choreographed by Ciampa here. Left, right, left, right. But otherwise, this is ideal. And I think part of it is because it does improve on the things we've seen recently. So maybe if we watch this in a different order, I wouldn't be as high on it. But it's nice and short. I didn't have to watch this on double time speed and still waste an hour and a half of my life.
As much as we like to ramp on about the ramp, that was a joke and I didn't even mean it to be. Sorry to keep going about the music, but like I swear the creative person who was in control of getting Susan Sarandon on the flag was also the same person who controlled the music. Hey, Luigi, you had a great idea with a Susan Sarandon. Now he's got the hands. What music do you like? Oh, I like the rock era 1970s. Hey! So it's just like they've whacked out, like they've gone through the bin and they've found out like, oh, here's my biggest hits of the 1970s CD. Press play. Don't stop the accounting.
So fresh, 1971.
It is very important to mention here too, though, that the director of this is Gabrielle Vassis. I don't know who that is, but the artistic director and the costume designer for these opening ceremonies was Giorgio Armani.
Well,
so
rest in peace.
Big name there.
Just died, didn't he?
That we know who that gown's designed by. That has to be an Armani, right?
I mean, like this is the weird thing with these Olympics is because like we're about to go to Milan, which is alongside Paris, the fashion capital of the world. So we are going to expect this level and that we got that in Paris with some of the stuff like the Louis Vuitton and all that kind of stuff that we saw. And I always think of Italian culture as sort of very, proper and posh. And I guess we get a whole posh section in this in just a moment. But like, I feel like that section of having a money, I didn't really get that vibe a lot of the time. Like, because the BDSM scene in just a moment. Look that up, Colin. So yeah, what is going on here? It's going to blow my mind the score you're going to give it, Colin. So go for it. Sure.
I'm going 4.5. This is the best parade we've seen.
Wow. Was not expecting that. Was the best we've seen. Really. The best we've seen.
Easily.
Oh, we saw a parade on boats. And this is the best you've seen.
We saw some athletes underneath rain ponchos
but they were
very
on
mismatched boats. Some of them were on. Some of them were rowing, I think. Some of them were swimming.
But you remember that. I'm not going to remember this by the time we get to like fucking Albaville. Wow. I'm giving it a 2.5. It's in the middle. It's there. I think it gets half a point because I heard Michael Jackson. That's where I'm going. I don't remember a costume. Jared.
3.5.
3.5. Wow. Okay. So I go for like last week.
It's equal to Atlanta. It's the ramps. That's his ramp score.
I'm getting ripped in recently for giving these perfect scores. Now I'm giving the lowest score than this one. The culture one. All right. I'm trying to work out Italian culture after this. If I think Italy and I think culture, I think great food. I think fast cars. I think like the mafia. I think art. Like, you know, I think about the like things that we take for granted in life. I don't walk down the street in Melbourne.
Do you think of laughing though?
No, I don't know. I mean, yeah, but like I don't know if I think about anvils and fire, cows, or like can we just talk about like this is 2006. This is not 1976. I blame this guy's called Luigi. He's got up Susan Sarandon. He's got the 1970 soundtrack. He's blown the budget. It's like, hey, Mario, I really want to pay tribute to the great cows of Italy. All right, let's get some cows. We saw what they did in Sydney. They got real horses. Hey, but we're blowing the budget. Okay. Go to the dollar store and get some wood and make some cows and put them on some wheels.
I mean, it could have been lawnmowers.
Hey!
They're doing the same thing.
They got real lawnmowers. They did.
Cows are the original lawnmowers. That's what their job is.
You make a solid point, Colin Hildy. Well done, but they could have at least gotten real cows. Australia had horses and dogs. Italy gets some wooden cows on some platforms with wheels. All right? They blew the budget and so many other things. But we get anvils and fire. Like, so again, my question is, we needed commentary for this. Because I'm sure even at least with Sydney, without commentary, Colin and Jared, I'm sure you could at least slightly understand what Australia's trying to do. In Vancouver, I could understand what they were at least trying to do. And I think we had commentary in the Vancouver one. I don't understand Italy, an anvil man on fire. Then we've got this ski person giant figure thing. We've got the big horns from like the mountains, which I associate with like Swiss culture and those sort of things. Like Italian, okay, cool. The freaking BDSM dungeon that forms the rings, okay. Then we've got the Italian bookman who turns it into like, we're the posh Italians and la-di-da, like, what's going on there? I got the birth of Venus, and I only knew the birth of Venus because we used to have the painting on the back of our toilet door. There was a Mr. Bean that cut like, you know, his face off and put Mr. Bean on it. That's how I knew what that is, the birth of Venus. The Ferrari, you're not going to love that. That's what I remember. I love that. Luca Badoa driving the F2005, spinning it out. Like, I remember watching that live, losing my shit. That's cool. I like the speed skaters that keep coming around with like the flames coming out of that. We've got POV. We had POV fiddling in Vancouver. We've got POV on speed skaters. That was cool. I mean, Pavarotti's pretty fucking awesome. That was the last time he ever performed Nessun Dorma before he died. So that was pretty epic. I just don't get what they're trying to sell here, Italy. Like, I don't know if I learnt more about Italy in this or I got more confused. Particularly then when they wheel out the fucking great Italian Yoko fucking Ono. Like, oh my God. And transitions to the great Italian Peter Gabriel. Now, like, I had to look this up. So this is the first time we get Imagine at an opening ceremony. But this was born in 1996 at the closing ceremony of Atlanta. Stevie Wonder sang Imagine at the closing ceremony, to which this then lit a light bulb in all the Olympic people around the world, and now we get stuck with this. But, like, I'm sorry, Yoko Ono. I know that you get a lot of shit in the life of music for breaking up the Beatles, but I'm fucking saying it right now, you deserve it, because this is shit. This is shit. And if this is what you did to the Beatles and you're doing it to the Olympics because you just introduced this bullshit of Imagine into it, and I like Peter Gabriel. Sledgehammer is an amazing song. Colin, you sent that to me when you went and saw him live. Magnificent. This is maybe the worst performance of Imagine I've ever heard of in my life. Like, Peter Gabriel, you are better than this. All right? You are better than this. Why
was he doing Sledgehammer performing that when they had the flaming anvil? That would have been the moment you need for Peter Gabriel.
It's just shit. Like, at least if you're going to birth, imagine like the freaking Korean version in 12 years' time when they could barely even say the words in English was better than this. The freaking one where they cut to Keith Urban being too emotional in Tokyo. Even the fucking Gal Gadot version for COVID was better than this. Like, fuck me, Peter Gabriel. God, just don't be an idiot. Yeah, it's just, I don't get it. But like the things that save it for me, that are going to maybe give it better points than I'm giving it off right now. Ferrari Burnout, yes, absolutely. That's going to win it for me. Pavarotti. We talked about this, I think, in the last one. Let's do a ranking one day of let's choose one iconic song from every opening. We're going to rank this up there with Katie Lang, with Celine Dion, with Vanessa Amorosi. We're going to rank it up there because this is iconic. Pavarotti, what an amazing performance he does there with that. Going to say it controversially, Celine Dion did it better in Paris. That's my opinion, but shoot me. Sorry, Italians. I love the speed skaters with the fires. That's cool. That is cool. And visually, I don't know what's going on with the BDSM scene, but I love the way they form the rings. I think Paris and Italy, very similar in some of their opening and closing ceremony ideas, because this reminds me of the closing ceremony, the way they form the rings, if you remember the Paris closing ceremony. But I don't get a lot of the rest of it. I don't get the anvil guy. I don't get the rich hoity-toity Italians. I don't get the cows on fucking wooden platforms wheeling around. Yeah, I'm confused. I really hope that Milano improves on this and gets me a bit of a taste of what Italy is really like. Jared, thoughts?
Yeah, it's an odd one. I love the anvil. To me, I don't know. It's just this really distinct visual to start. I'm on board. Do I get what it has to do with Italian culture? Not at all. But is it a good way to open an opening ceremony? Sure. But then and then there's good bits throughout. Like you mentioned, the guys on skates are amazing throughout. It's weird, but I'm a fan of the synchronized swimming, legs coming up through the slats.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
so I'm okay, that's fine. And when they're making shapes in the middle, that's fine. The cows. The cows. I am on board, and I kind of agree with Colin. I feel like this is honestly their version of the lawnmower and poking fun a bit, and I can deal with that. I think it works. But then my biggest gripe with this whole opening ceremony is the sound design and these weird over the top, the heavy breathing for the skier was really bugging me, and it just kept going. I was like, this skier is so unfit. This is not an Olympic level skier that we've made up here. And then they change into their jackets to make this formation, and for the life of me, there's one person in a blue jacket who's making the black ski at the bottom, and it bugged me the entire time. Did this person either A, go to the wrong spot, B, got the wrong jacket, C, missed rehearsals? What's going on with this person? I want to know so badly why they're there. The first girl singing was fine, but then the la 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 girl, I was like, oh no, here we go. Too many kids again. Get her out of here. And then, this Renaissance section I was initially on board for, but again, the sound design, there's a person laughing the entire time through it. And I'm maybe with commentary, I would understand this, but shut up. This belly laugh just going on throughout the whole thing was driving me insane. Then we get this weird, the Mad Hatter doing ballet while there's this random caked up statue at the same time. And I'm what is happening? Why is this ballet dancer versing this statue? It was just odd to me, and just don't my feelings about Imagine full stop, but this, the worst version of ever. The Yoko Ono segment, this was not an off the cuff speech. She was reading it. That makes this so much worse. If it was off the cuff, okay, you're excused nervous, you're making things up, but this had been written down. She says the word peace way too many times that it loses all meaning and all sincerity. It just becomes this platitude of mush that's horrible. And just, it ruins it. And it just throughout, it's these moments of magnificence with Pavarotti at the end, but then these other moments of this terribleness. And then the people on the spider's web on the wall is cool when they make the dove. It's better than paper doves that we've seen before. But again, I'm it looks more like an eagle than a dove. I don't really know what's happening again. And it was just odd throughout. I feel the ideas were there, but it's almost the Sydney of it all. It almost feels similar. They threw everything in the kitchen sink at it in a shorter amount of time, but it just was so much less cohesive. And this is almost the bad side of that. Let's just like throw everything and hope something sticks.
Two things that I'll add. I like the moon and is it Mars, like in the floating, like the planet things are cool. But like as I think I said at the very beginning, there are so many elements of this that I just feel like it feels like it's in the 1970s and not like 2006. Like I'm sorry to hark on about the cows, but that just looked cheap to me. And it just like, I'm more we use too much projections now. I like the use of physical props. So like they've got them elements here, but like it reminded me of like when we were looking at Innsbruck when it was just like, let's just watch a bunch of lederhosen people dancing for a little bit for a while. Like all of a sudden you just like, it just felt like a hodgepodge of here's a giant Matterhorn pipe thing with some weird cows and that's some bubble things. And yeah, the leg things were fine, but it just felt like a hodgepodge of, it had no narrative and made sense to it. And again, this is 6 years removed from Sydney when there was a story to it. Salt Lake, I remember there being a story to it. Athens, epic story to it. Like this just harks back to the days where it's just a hodgepodge of what's going on here. So that's where I feel some of this just feels very dated. Again, commentary probably would help this. So I should have watched the Channel 7 version. I should have listened to Joanna talk over this. Colin? He's typing. He's typing his thoughts to us. I don't know what's going on here right now.
He's writing out his peace speech.
Peace. I am Yoko. Peace.
And peace. And maybe some more peace.
Like my husband said, peace.
I mean, yes, this is random, and I don't want to judge it too harshly because I feel like we watch a lot of these other opening ceremonies that would come across as being just this bizarre and just this random if we didn't have commentary. So that does hurt this a little bit, but some of the stuff we see here is spectacular, and I think this is pretty close to the end of the era of doing things practical. Close enough to the end of the era of doing things practical where I applaud them because some of the practical things they're doing, like whether there's a one blue jacket or not, that, colored human animation of the ski jumping is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the Olympics. And I like it even more that they actually zoom in when they're changing the jackets so that the audience can be like, oh, that's how they do that. Oh, that's really cool. So they're not just thinking that this is some type of effect where they're projecting light on them or something like that. That is, to me, the highlight of this entire thing. I like the synchronized ice swimming or whatever it is. I like the cows. One thing I actually really liked was the weird two-headed ballerinas that were being performed by about 16 actual ballerinas. So you see this bizarre giant two-headed ballerina and then a bunch of little legs, just like 600 legs underneath it that are moving these things. I really zone out during their historical section. And it was kind of weird that they seem to go back in time. Like they started with stuff that looked very modern, and then they go back to stuff that's like, this is the historical stuff. But like the fancy parties with the wigs and stuff like that, that was where I'm definitely taking notes on my phone, and then I'm scrolling through my phone and not watching it. The way that the Olympic rings form and even just all the acrobatic stuff we got in general is great too. Like we get a very Cirque du Soleil like that. Maybe that's an Italian thing. I don't know. So Yoko, Jared hit the nail on the head. Like she is literally reading off a piece of paper and you're constantly hearing stuff like, well, and also like, did you rehearse this? This is just Yoko. I don't want to knock her too much. I do love Yoko. Kind of has a sense of humor about herself now. Like Ben, I think you've watched some of Mad About You, right?
Oh, back in the
Paul Reiser, Helen Hunt show.
Oh, I was in love with Helen Hunt back then. Yeah, I would have watched. Back in the day.
If you remember, there might have been 2 episodes, but there was at least an episode where Yoko Ono played herself on it, and it was just full of jokes of her making fun of herself. And I'm like, she's clearly not taking herself too seriously, but like this speech is so serious. Like I don't want to hear the word peace anymore. I don't know if anybody realized this was Yoko Ono because it's not announced or anything until she says my husband John Lennon. They're
like, oh, that's where I know her from. Mad About You.
Yeah, the one takeaway is that I would think we have like the weirdest moment that we guaranteed the second Yoko appeared on screen. That was going to be our weirdest moment. And Peter Gabriel, like I love Peter Gabriel. Like I worship Peter Gabriel, but I don't want to hear him singing the song, and he didn't even seem to want to sing this song,
Same guy got Susan Sarandon in the 70s soundtrack. Was like, Get me a really prominent singer, Peter Gabriel.
Exactly. Yeah. And what I liked about Sydney was, I got way too much criticism for literally Jimmy's jumping down my throat. I'm like, did you hear my comment? I'm saying I like this John Farnham guy. I just don't know who he is.
Star Wars in Australia. Like that's just, it's not John Farnham in Australia.
It's not my fault he's not known outside of Australia. but I was saying I like that you put a performer out there that's like, this is important to Australia, who the rest of the world doesn't necessarily know. But this was just so geared towards the rest of the world that we got to put Peter Gabriel and Yoko Ono out there. We have to put Michael Jackson and I Will Survive lady, whatever her name is on the thing.
The famous closing ceremony, they have Ricky Martin in the closing ceremony, if you remember, Turin. Like of all the great Italian singers, Ricky Martin.
I wanted more Italian in this outside of Pavarotti. And Pavarotti's incredible. Interesting note, though, I actually looked it up. So maybe why this isn't as good as the Celine Dion one is that he was pre-recorded. The vocals were pre-recorded, that is, which didn't come down to the fact that Pavarotti's like, I'm lip syncing. You know, it actually was kind of the opposite. It took them a lot of time and a lot of effort to get him to do this because he said, with the temperatures, what they're going to be at, I'm not going to be able to hit the notes that you want me to hit. So they said, what if we pre-record the vocals? And he basically rehearsed it and it looks seamless. Like you cannot tell this man is lip syncing. This isn't like so many other, opening ceremony performances that we've seen. But it's of course you're going to end it with Pavarotti, but that's like the one Italian thing we see in here. There's so many things that I loved seeing, but I don't understand, like the rocket speed skating, stuff like that. I had very Mad Max vibes from this. I felt like we were in Sydney half the time, with the BDSMs, as you're saying. Yeah, it's as soon as the F1 car came on there, I'm like, is this going to be a 5-star from Ben? Apparently not. Apparently F1's not going to make it 5 stars, but I'm very torn on it because I love the spectacle of what we're seeing. I just didn't feel that it was distinctly Italian enough.
I actually remember like watching this live, weirdly thinking like, oh, are they going to do something for Ferrari? Because it is such an Italian, thing. Like it's so ingrained in their culture. And it blew my mind. And it actually kind of surprised me in a way because Ferrari is from a town called Maranello, and that's actually quite close to Milan. I'm planning on going there like before I go to the opening ceremony like the day beforehand. So it surprised me that they've maybe wasted this now in 2006, and hopefully they do something for Ferrari next year.
Was Enzo alive or is he dead at this point?
Enzo died in 88. So, but they do cut to... not that you guys know who it is, but they cut after you see the Formula One car, you see Luca di Montezemolo in the crowd, and he was the head of Ferrari at the time. So you see him, and this was driven not by Michael Schumacher, it was Luca Badoa. Not that you know who that is, but they actually show you see the motorbike, which I think is the Ducati, which is also a very big name Italian motorbike. So I can't. And I said that whole section though, like that weird guy lighting and all that kind of stuff was cool, but like going to your point, Colin, and I think you touched on it before about kind of that appeasing to an international crowd. Like that was my criticism of Paris, was that like, why do we need Lady Gaga? Why do we need like, there's so many French people you could celebrate. And, not all jokes aside about John Farnham, you don't know who that is. I get what you're saying, but like none of us here could probably name famous Italian singers outside of Pavarotti. If you knew Eiffel 65 were famous, Maneskin weren't even around back then. I struggle right now. Andrea Bocelli, he's Italian, right?
The three tenor. The three tenors.
Yeah.
Is there a fourth Italian? I don't know.
but like what I'm saying is like, I'm sure they've got like, if you are Italian, you've got your Italian John Farnham. So like, where are they? And maybe like, I don't know if these European countries are just not quite as confident that they can sell like, from memory, the Russians had famous Russian singers. I mean, the Russians, right? They don't give a shit. But like, it's weird that Australia, we're just like, yeah, fuck it, we're Australian. We're going to show this person. Canada, you've got enough people who know a Canadian anyway, so that you're not.
But I was going to say, even still, like our biggest moment was the fiddler guy, and in Canada, people are like Ashley McIsaac. Outside of Canada, people are like, there's a guy playing a fiddle.
But I think of that still like. People knew who Bryan Adams, Nelly Furtado, Katie Lang were. The closing ceremony, you had Avril Lavigne, didn't you? Nickelback. Like people know who they are. You're not going to struggle in LA to have recognizable singers. And I'm pretty sure Brisbane are going to be quite proud of our singers in Australia that we're going to put on Tones and I and fucking people like that who are relevant in 2032. But yeah, it's and again, no disrespect to Peter Gabriel. Is he about 20 years too late to be relevant in 2006? Even Phil Collins would have been a better choice, would he not have? At least Ricky Martin was sort of relevant in 2006 for the closing ceremony. I'm
Actually,
seeing
it's
him
funny you
live
said
soon,
that because,
so anyway.
again, I love everything Peter Gabriel does. I mean, he
Except for this.
basically took a 20-year hiatus. The only thing he released during this time period was the theme song to Wall-E, which, by the way, Casey loves that song so much. I'm like, I hear that more from Casey than I would ever listen to it myself. He should have come out here and performed the theme song to Wall-E. Now that I would have been on board with.
Is this a controversial opinion that I think Wall-E is such an overrated film? I was bored in that movie.
Yes.
No.
That is maybe
Bored.
the best Pixar movie ever.
Oh, hello. It's not Toy Story 2.
Wow, that's
come
up
on.
there too.
It's not Cars 1.
Nothing to do with this episode, but the one Pixar movie that came out recently where I'm like, this is on the level of like Toy Story 2 and Wall-E is the movie Soul.
I haven't seen it yet.
Everybody go watch the movie Soul. That one, I'm like, I will put that on, and the kids are like, no, not Soul again.
Are you a Toy Story 1, 2, or 3 man, Jared?
Oh, it's got to be 2.
2. Yeah, 2.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Everybody who
It's like your Shrek 2.
Yeah, well, I'm going to bring up Shrek. The difference is Shrek 3. No one gives a shit about Shrek 3, but like everyone ramps on about Toy Story 3 being so good. I'm like, did you not say Toy Story 2? Like,
You know what?
come on.
My kids watched Toy Story 2 3 times yesterday alone.
Oh.
They're the best critics.
I want to, and Toy Story 1's brilliant too. Like, perfect trilogy until they fuck it up with Toy Story 4. What the fuck was that?
Haven't seen it.
Don't.
Couldn't be bothered.
I mean, it's like it's fine for like the first 2/3 of it, but then they fuck it up at the ending. You're like, oh god. Anyway, 3.5 for me. So it's like it's a bit over the middle, just because again I'm being biased with the Ferrari. But I mean Pavarotti. Like take the Ferrari. Ferrari gives it half a point extra, and Pavarotti gives it another half point. So this would have been a 2.5. Ferrari gets it to a 3. Pavarotti gets it to a 3.5 for me. Jared.
3.
3. Okay, that works. Joins Munich. You gave Munich a 3? Jesus, I don't even remember Munich.
Yeah, the slap dancing.
That's right.
Oh, what do you want?
You gave Atlanta a 3. Your lowest is Sarajevo, Calgary, and Innsbruck. Everything's low in Innsbruck. Yeah, your name's Colin. That's what your name was. I went blank in your name. Had a senior's moment. What's his name?
It's very much in line with Paris. I'm giving it a 3.5 as well, because that's the smartest thing you have ever said on this podcast, Ben. Like, these are like brother sister opening ceremonies that just happen to be separated by 18 years. Like, it's the exact same thing. I feel like this was entertaining. It's just I don't get it.
Trust a Tasmanian to do something related to siblings. So you gave Sydney a 5, did you, Colin? I don't remember you giving Sydney a 5. Why did I mark you down as a 5? I think that's wrong. I know Jared gave it a 5.
Might have been right. I think that was the best part about the opening ceremony.
Okay, so I'm just saying here, because you've given Vancouver a 5, Sydney a 5. Jared, you gave Sydney a 5 and Vancouver a 5. So we've all of our perfects are the same, except I gave Paris a 5. And okay, I'm intrigued to see where we go with all this sort of stuff. So the scores then overall for Torino. I was intrigued about this one. I didn't know how this was going to go, because this was just such a very interesting one. So this gets overall a 35.5 is the final score for Torino, which puts this in the bottom half. So this makes it, if I'm doing my maths here correctly, is that 8th, 9th? How am I doing my maths here? Let's do it a certain way here, Ben. It's not at the top. Let's just say that. And usually the Winter Olympic ones are always at the top. So this comes in at 9th out of the 13 that we've done. So this comes just below Sarajevo and just above Calgary. Really? I feel Calgary was better than that. Old Karen yelling at people and dinosaurs.
Cowboys.
Yeah, maybe we need to do that. So,
Ben, you gave a 1.5 to the parade in Calgary. What did you give to the parade in this one?
2.5. Yeah.
See, you're the reason that it's higher than Calgary. It's your fault.
It's always my fault. So only below this we have Calgary, Rio, Munich, and Innsbruck. So our top 10. I mean, we've done mainly Winter Olympic opening ceremonies anyway, but there you go. Our first of the mid-2000s that we've done. We still haven't obviously gotten one chosen. But our final section here, weirdest mascot, blunder, Ben. We didn't get the mascot, that weird fucking snowflake thing. So no to the mascot. The weirdest...
Yoko.
Yoko.
How can it not be Yoko Ono?
I mean, there's other. Yeah. Jared, are you on board with Yoko?
She comes out of nowhere too.
Yeah, true. Yoko nowhere. The blunder, is it the jacket? Or is it the president?
It's the jacket to me. I just can't.
Yeah, I don't know, Colin. What do you got? Any other options?
There were like it came off seamlessly for all the performance that Jared picked apart the one mistake.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the story of this opening ceremony. It's just like, yeah, sure. The best is it the president, Pavarotti, the Norwegian couple in the crowd.
See, I feel like Pavarotti is the obvious answer, but like I want to go with President.
Yeah, I'm
Ciampa.
going with the president. He's the best. Why not? Pavarotti. We're not the obvious here and off the podium. We like to go a little bit different.
Plus, he lip synced.
Yeah, Pavarotti lip synced.
That's true, and at certain points it was really bad.
So I'm just saying, Pavarotti and Britney Spears are the same. You can't bag out Britney Spears people for lip syncing. Look what Pavarotti did. There you go.
And was this like the same time period Ashley Simpson was cancelled for doing it?
It was about that, yeah. Yeah. Pavarotti on Saturday Night Live. Did he ever host it? Live from New York, Saturday Night Live. Our next, we're not doing Andrew Hedges because our next one is the Soul. We already drew that one at the end of Atlanta, but we aren't going to broadcast that till May. So we're not doing that till well after the opening, the next opening ceremony. We'll be doing an actual opening ceremony review directly afterwards. Our first one ever where somebody's actually there, so that will be intriguing. Jared, I mean, I've got nothing on the Soul. All I know, it's the opening ceremony where doves got burnt on the cauldron. I don't think I've ever seen it. I've seen maybe a highlight or two. I knew Colin was nearly meant to be in it. But yeah, Jared, do you know anything about the Soul opening ceremony?
I do not. I just hope we get another I don't know that grandma moment.
It was 1988. Colin, you were meant to famously be in this opening ceremony, so
to at least be in attendance if my parents had allowed me. I have seen parts of this. I never watched it all the way through because it was in our Taekwondo class that they actually played this. One day they're like, we're going to watch the first, 45 minutes of this or whatever. So I've seen the first 45 minutes before and I've seen the doves.
I would say this would be the first one that I was ever alive for that we've done because I wouldn't have been alive for Calgary. That would have been in, February of 88. So I was born in March of 88. So the first ever opening ceremony I was ever alive for. There you go. It's all about me. So there it is. But that will be airing in around about May of 2026 if you're listening to this in chronological order. In terms of what we've got coming up, we have some more great interviews. We're getting very close to December. So we're getting very close to having weekly episodes in the lead up to Milano Cortina. So a lot of Winter Olympic episodes coming away. A bit of a break from winter athletes. This week we're speaking to Brianna Salinaro, an American para taekwondo athlete and also a para track and field athlete. She's in two sports. Great chat with her. That's coming this way. We've got an author called Doug Levy coming on the show in a couple of weeks to talk about a great new book. So that's a great one there. And then getting straight back into Winter Olympians. We've got a good friend of the show, Alex Falazzo, Australian luge athlete coming back on. And one that I'm excited for in a couple of weeks ago, Phil Bellingham, triple Olympic cross-country skier from Australia. But not only is he aiming for his fourth Olympics in cross-country skiing Milano Cortina, he is right now Australia's number one ski mountaineer and is aiming to qualify for both. He's claiming, trying to be Esther, basically, and go to two sports. He would become the first Australian Winter Olympian ever to compete in two sports at the same Olympics if he does it. And he's on the cusp of doing it. And it's a great chat. Phil's a great guy. That's in a couple of weeks too. Colin, thank you very much for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on and chat and do this with you. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine.
And Jared, I don't know if I get to speak to you now to next year, but at least in terms of airing these, I know we're recording them before the end of the year, but at least in terms of my voice and your voice on the same episode, it might not be to Milano Cortina, but
see you all in 2026.
Yeah, 2026. Jared's like, yes, I can go to bed now. I don't have to do this crap. Like, subscribe, do all the regular things that we tell you to do at this point. If you've enjoyed today's episode, my name has been President Italian Guy. And if you haven't enjoyed it, it's been the guy who got Susan Sarandon in. Good night.